Hello, welcome to another game analysis video. This time we've got some rookie Undead versus some rookie Skaven. So I've got a little defensive setup here, which is a little bit more aggressive than normal. A little bit vulnerable to quick snap, obviously, if they can get these whites. But by putting these two mummies here and then putting these two whites here to try and stop the Skaven getting assists in, I can hopefully stop them throwing any blocks on the line of scrimmage, and then obviously hopefully give myself a massive advantage in that way. Before we get started properly, as always, if you do end up liking this video, you can always like and subscribe to the channel, and let's get on with it. Okay, so lucky enough to get a blitz here. There is a gap on this side where so I'll probably run and go down there at some point, and so I'll try and slow down or trap the Skaven on this side of the pitch a bit more. So try and stop them breaking through here. The middle is safe with these mummies, and then I'll run a Ghoul through here just to threaten a little bit the ball. And the idea with that is that it just keeps your opponent honest. He has to worry about the pickup, and he has to bring lots of players back to try and cover the failed pickup roll. Lucky doesn't catch it, that's great. Obviously the concern with that is just you don't know how good your opponent is, and against a good opponent this is a good play. You put pressure on him, he has to still keep himself honest. But against a bad player, they're just going to completely ignore the risks of failing that pickup and then just go for a two-turn touchdown, which isn't the end of the world, but it's not ideal. And this flank on my right flank is slightly open to that, especially now with that stun. Okay, but I get a bit lucky there. He fails the pickup. Well, you know, lucky and not lucky, he hasn't bothered to defend it. That's the most important thing. You can get lucky or unlucky, but like these guys standing here doing nothing, they should have been over there protecting the failed pickup. Casualty first swap, that's great. Things are looking up to start with. So I'm just going to try and tag as many Skaven as I can, and then just try and put some pressure on the ball. I don't think I want to mark this guy down here, just keep him out of trouble. I don't think I want to roll too many dice here. I don't want to try and, you know, roll one dice block splitzes and try and pick the ball and stuff, because that just sort of makes it easy for an opponent to recover the ball almost. So I'm just going to try and get a couple of tackle zones on the ball and make it a lot harder for him. Obviously 2 tackle zones, much better than one, much more than double the better than one, twice as good as one, because you can't clear them both with the blitz. So yeah, so taking my easy blocks, marking up some guys, and moving him second because I need the block to free up the space to move him on. Okay, so everyone's nice and marked. Everyone's going to be dodging if they want to do anything on his team, and then I've just done a couple of cheeky go for it, just try and get a second tackle on the ball, cause them a bit of trouble. Okay, and he's not a reason being now to try to get back on the ball, stop me scoring, stop the worry and the concern. That's good. I feel like Ghoul survives. And now he's got 4 tackles on it, and it's quite difficult for me to get to swamp it the same way as I did last turn, 5 tackle zones now. So yeah, he's put himself in a reasonable position to recover. So now with the ball all the way back here, I need to, it's a bit risky for me to put too much pressure on, because if I put all my players up here with how slow a lot of my team is, and he gets away with the ball, then I'm going to be in trouble. So I don't want to get too sucked in. Okay, so I'm just lining this. I put this mummy here to assist this block here, but then I'm not moving this mummy yet because I want to take this block here, and that's a push, and I can get a 3 dice block with that mummy there. And he's happy enough in the middle because he can't reach the cage where the ball is. with where the ball is, I'm happy enough to take a few extra blocks, trying to get a bit of attrition. And he got a bounce, that's fine. So we get this mummy free if we want him. He's just going to move up there, and then that's just blocking off this line here to stop the Skaven coming through the middle, if they get away with the ball. Then again, I'm going to just try to be a little bit greedy, a couple of go for us to get a blitz, to get 3 of my tackles on the ball. And then with these 2 being gutter runners here, it's going to be quite difficult for him to move all of these guys off the ball. Okay, but he dodges the storm vermin, and then gets a pretty fortunate bounce, that's obviously worst case scenario for me. I was hoping at the very least that he would have to move all his players before picking the ball up, in terms of getting assists and stuff. So that even if he did pick the ball up, he'd be vulnerable to me next turn. But by instantly getting the bounce, that's just an absolute disaster time. Because of how far I've committed forward, I'm in a real pickle now. Last block didn't help. So he's of danger, so I'll try and mark him. And then I'm just running this guy back here all the way. I'm not trying to contest the cage here because I've already lost that effectively. There's no way I can get all of my team here to stop him, so I have to worry about the next turn, the turn where he's going to be over here. So that's all I'm thinking about in this turn. Like, I can't get the ball this turn. Where am I going to try and get the ball back in the following turn? I'll still try and mark that guy. Yeah, so that's why this mummy is just moving backwards over here. So that's why instead of taking this 2 less block with his Ghoul and try and dodge with him, he wants to be here, so next turn he can move here rather than just stuck there. Because when this guy goes here next turn, yeah, I got a bit greedy there. It's a double 1 go for it, which is unlucky, but I could have not made it. It was very marginal benefit to be stood in front of that lineman, stopping dodging out here rather than just standing there. Tiny bit greedy, obviously massively punished by double KO. Maybe I should have done it. Luckily for me, it doesn't look like he feels that he can get all the way down here, which is the benefit of having this white here. Stops him completely just running away. So he still has to cage effectively. I mean, he's rolling some more dice powers, but he's burning through his rerolls at the same time, so you have to hope that it just catches up with him at some point. I forgot to pick this guy up. It's part of the Blood Bowl 2 interface. These people are really difficult to see. Okay, so this is a really nice position here, because he hasn't caged fully, but I can't actually blitz him. Even this white 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you can't blitz him without making a 4-up dodge, effectively, and a 2 go for it. So it's not worth it doing. That's a really nice position without too much risk. So I'm just trying to box him in here a little bit with the players I can get, and that's when Mummy's coming useful, because I can, they can 3-on-1 people, at the very least 2-on-1 them, and with these 2 mummies here involved, it's like I can tie up this whole cage of 5 people with just 2 mummies. So yeah, that looks reasonably good. I'm going to stun Ghoul this time. Blocked him. It's fine, still attacking people where I can. Yeah, just hoping these. Okay, well this is where we start to reveal that my opponent isn't the greatest. Don't think that's the smartest player in the world, just running this guy out on his own. But I still need to get him down. So, luckily well about, that's good. There was no way I could make it 3 dice without making dodges and stuff, so that wasn't happening. So now it's like this block, throw at the Ghoul, who's trying to pick the ball up. Happy to make the pickup, and then I move him over here to make the 2 dice block. There's no chance of me caging, I haven't got enough players free, and Skaven are far too agile, so it's much better to just move them there to get the extra block rather than just not trying to stand in 1 square further away or something. Another casualty's nice, Mummy's doing their job. Mummies are tying up these guys fairly well, so that's fine. And we finally get this Ghoul back. A little bit more into the action. It's a scoring threat. Okay, so he's put this gutter in the wrong place. It means this lineman who wants to blitz us can only blitz from here, which has an assist, so he's had to move a second player over to do that with. I don't know why he moved the third. But that's even if he knocks the ball down here, he's got no one left to pick it up with, apart from this guy who's probably too far away unless he makes dodges through everywhere. So yeah, that wasn't the greatest turn. Okay, I'm going to have to dodge anyway with this guy, so I can try this bit first. If I get a power here, then I can chain push him out. But if I don't, I can push him forward, so I can dodge a bit further forward. That way. Don't get the foul, which isn't unlikely, so that's fine. Kind of stuck making the dodge now, but we will make a cage around the square where the dodge is going to, so that if I fail, at least it's hopefully a little bit safe. We'll take the 2 dice on the lineman here whilst we can, just to get this guy back in here, marking these guys up, make it a little bit more like a proper cage. Okay, he can be scoring through up there, and that still lets me have my 2 dice. But I'll do the dodge first, which is fine. And I could have just let him. I could have stood the mummy there and not blocked, trying to tag him up, but we saw that the Skaven coach isn't afraid of dodging all his linemen every turn, so we kind of have to be a little bit more proactive and try and deal with the information we have, the knowledge we've got of how our opponent plays. And this is great because all we've left him with is basically a 4-up dodge into the cage for a 1 dice power. Which hopefully he won't make, but he does, of course. So yeah, that was without that, and he's dead as well, of course. Without that, he's I'm looking like I'm scoring. It's 1-0 and me driving, unfortunately. I may even see the touchdown here. Thankfully, he doesn't make the 3-up pickup, and then I've got a chance. For going 0-0 at half time, maybe even scoring, but it's probably unlikely. Yeah, just try and get some people back, try and cover the ball a bit. So you blitz a line through so he can pick up the ball with somebody. So the first guy did the blitz, and then the second guy threw the ball up. And there's my back here, so there's some sort of cage. Marking this guy up so he can't dodge so easily, and then moving this guy so he's 7 squares away from the end zone. Kind of puts him within range of this guy here, but then it's kind of in range anyway. Skaven so fast, you could get this guy around instead. if I go over on this side of the pitch. It'd be reasonably likely that I score now, so just trying my best to not concede. With a couple of goals out of the picture, my opponent is not unreasonably just going to blitz the only guy who can realistically score. With the Storm Vermin, so as noted, it doesn't really matter where he went. Unfortunately, he's dead too. So all 3 goals off the pitch, and looking like a spot of bother. So almost not going to score, not going to try and score with this zombie. Try and get some attrition back. Yeah. Probably a mistake. I probably should have gone for the nonsense 6 up, 6 up touchdown, because it does work sometimes. Lots of juicy mummy. 3 dices on gutter runners seemed like a reasonable option. Unfortunately, no damage. Okay, so half time, my KO Ghoul doesn't come back, and his KO does come back. So we're now an undead team with no rules, 2 men down, 2 Skaven, which is not that's not a usual occurrence. It's not what you're going to expect to happen. And we're now in a situation with just zombies, mummies, and whites where this game should be over. We should 100% lose this game every single time, almost regardless of what the dice are. All he has to do is stand his players next to my players, and I can't move them. Like, the zombies can't move away, they can't dodge, even if they're 2 dice. Because I'm men down, there won't be 2 dice again, but there'll be a best 1 dice in people. And without block, that's not going to last very long. I can't continue doing that every turn, and eventually he'll get the opportunity to sack the ball carrier. So we're just going to have to see if he spots that, and if we get away with it. Okay, this is the value of having a skeleton on the team. That little bit extra movement really does help out in times like this. He has got wheels. Throw a rock. Stuns a line rat, so nothing exciting. So we need to cover this ball away from Skaven shenanigans. As a side note, this defensive setup from Skaven is absolutely horrific. When you are 2 men up against Undead with an agility team, you want to have your players as far forward and as aggressive as possible in an attempt to put pressure on, take advantage of any blitz you might roll, or if the opponent fails a pickup, or even if the kickup's deep. We roll the pickup, but it works, that's fine. Like, if the ball had been kicked deep, I would have lost without anything else happening. Like, the gutter runners could have just run through, and there's no way I could have got my slow zombies back to cover it up. That would have been it. Luckily for me, the ball lands further forward, so I can sort of grab it and put it in the cave. Yeah, but by having this Skaven all the way back here, is kind of cheating myself with the option of doing that. Okay, and this is a classic example of having a plan but not having the right plan. Like, this is great. 2-step defense is absolutely fine in many, many circumstances, but when you are men up, it's absolutely not the right thing to do. Like, why they defend there as well? Like, my mum is only 3 squares forward, 1, 2, 3. You can't even reach them. He's defending space that I can't even get to next turn. It's very strange. So if they'd been here, for example, that would have been sensible, because then I couldn't have moved into that space. But he's literally just covering the space after the space I can get to. Next, this allows me to get my way forward as far out as possible, and then move back around to the centre and try and cage. I don't want to get stuck on a wide zone too early, and then if I get double banked out of it, that's not going to work. So let's try and, yeah, my main hope of getting back into this game was to try and chip a few people with mummies on the line. Unfortunately that has not worked, and now we are in that situation I described where any good opponent is going to beat you 10 times out of 10. Fortunately for me, my parents used to got a little bit sucked in here to this dealing with this mummy, which is the complete wrong thing to do. Like, this is exactly what I want to happen. With men with players down, I want my mummies to be marking 2-3 of his players and then trying to get an effective player advantage back from that transaction. If he just stands one lineman next to my mummy and just leaves him there, then that's the exact opposite of what I want. That means you can put 2 of his players against 1 of my zombies, for example, and then knock him over and then shoot your turn, take a huge advantage from that, break through my cage. So whilst he's isolating my mummy, in one sense, he's also doing it by sacrificing like 6 of his players here, which is not what you want. This huge gap over here in his defence, which I can't take advantage of because of how slow I am, but I've kind of decided that I have to take a few risks here. Do a few go for it, because if I just meekly shuffle from side to side on this line of scrimmage, I'm going to get nowhere. So yeah, this is no longer greedy, this is just it's what you have to do. Like, when you are in a bad situation, you have to take a few risks. Small risks, we go for it, but risks nonetheless. This guy here is quite nice because the obvious thing to do for this game would be blitz this corner of the cage and mark the ball, and this guy covers that so you can block away anybody who's standing next to there. He's still getting sucked up by this one zombie. I mean, this is where you need to be precise with your defence, rather than getting bogged down, getting 6-7 players stuck around. 2 of mine. And again, this is a good defence in some situations, in theory, but in this situation it's absolutely dreadful. When you are men up for an agility team, you don't want to be standing off, you want to be getting stuck in. Not sure it was the right idea to burn that reroll either. So yeah, I'm going to have to chuck another go for it in here. Try and centralise again with my cage. And now I'm in a situation where my ball carrier is in range of scoring, which I've got no rights to get. One dice, pretty risky, don't want to have to be doing that kind of thing, but there's no choice. Just have to move. My mummy. I need that mummy to form the cage. Completely forgot this was my player. Again, level 2 interface. Should have stood up that skeleton. That was a bit of a mistake. Again, this is an example of, like, I think I said before, when you're defending, you want to have a plan and do it with all your players. So if you're going to stand off, you want to stand off with all your players. If you're going to get stuck in, you want to get stuck in with all your players. And the Skaven here are doing the exact opposite of that. They got half the players stuck in the wrong place, like not involved in the play, and then half the players stood off, not pressuring my cage. So do one or the other. Have everybody in contact or have nobody in contact. And don't roll pointless one dice blitzers when you could have two dice quite easily by just moving that guy there, moving these guys over a bit. So yeah, so he's defending this part of the pitch perfectly, but just leaving this gap completely wide open. This doesn't make a lot of sense. I decided not to go fully for this gap here because I just want to reconnect with this mummy, try and get him back involved in the play. I've got 4 turns left. Again, there's a go for it involved in this, but I've got no choice. This guy's coming over here and he's just covering this space, stopping the Skaven flooding in this area. I got greedy with that. Mummy block, I should have not blocked. Especially since I've only just remembered that skull was mine. But I did this time, stood him up, that's great. Okay, he's going for the 2-step defense again. But because he's got these players here stuck, they're still leaving a gap around here. Yeah, and then I want a nice block instead of moving this guy first. It doesn't matter how. I've got no right to be anywhere near scoring in this game against 10 Skaven. So yeah, I can now centralise. Try and form a little cage around here. This is a mistake. I got caught in 2 minds. I should have either moved him there and then moved the mummy at the back of the cage, or blocked with the mummy and then moved the skeleton up to form a bit here. I've just left the front of this cage open, which is just, that's not good. Ended up relying on that go for it, which I couldn't use last reroll on to fill that gap. So that was a bit sloppy. Really here should go for this cover this mummy and then try and get a blitz on the ball. Luckily for me, it is a push. But you didn't have been able to blitz it even if you had a lot of power. And now we have a situation where there's a potential that I can actually score it and win this game. Absolutely no right at all to be anywhere near winning this game. And so instead of being passive, I need to get into a scoring position and stop him just lining off 2 by 2 in front of the end zone. So that's why I'm going to make a few go for it in this turn, just to get myself in this position where he can't just line off. And that's what you have to do when you are when your player's down. You have to take a few extra risks like this. Just try and make it a little bit more difficult for your opponent. And who doesn't like a 3 dice block with a mummy on a restaurant? We'll take that all day long. Yeah, I'm not sure what the Skaven coach is doing here particularly. I'm not sure if he knows that you can just blitz with the ball carrier and follow up to get into the end zone and score. But yeah, this is not an effective defence. But he's optimistically getting us on in scoring range, so you know you should do that. Nothing wrong with that. Yep, this is a fairly easy touchdown though. Just block him out of the way and then blitz with the ball carrier into that Skaven. Gotcha on it. 2 dice. It was a power goal. That's quite nice. And that is a touchdown. So yeah, it finished 1-0. That was a bit of a get out of jail. Absolutely no rights to win that game, let alone even draw it really. That should have been a loss all day long after losing 3 goals before half time. But that is an example of what you can do if your opponent is not aggressive enough. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and see you again next time.